whenever I see people talking about culturally relevant education, a la like Gloria Ladson-Billings, or culturally responsive education, a la Geneva Gay, there is a tendency for people to focus on one culture or one demographic rather than acknowledging the cultural pluralism that occurs within those discussions on those particular topics. So, for example, I love the fact that race is highlighted in here and that they are promoting anti-racist pedagogies. Totally on board for that. If teachers were to make progress by incorporating more anti-racist pedagogies into the classroom, that would be amazing. But we can't just end there. We also have to talk about the other isms that need to be addressed. For example, sexism, or the transphobia, or some of the inequalities with socioeconomic status, etc. So those phobias or isms or inequalities need to also be discussed in relation to the core components in here. But that being said, how you implement this is really up to you. So you could implement it by focusing on, hey, we're really going to focus on socioeconomic status and really try and improve that in our classroom for this next quarter. And the next quarter, we're really going to build off of that and try and focus on racism that might be occurring and really hone in on that. So basically treating these as like units. That might be one approach that you might use. There's pros and cons to that, but that's one approach. Another approach might be, we're going to talk about all of these in relation to what is most relevant in that particular moment or unit or lesson or specific project, etc. That's another way of looking at this. And there are pros and cons to any of the approaches that you end up using. But the thing that I'm just encouraging is don't just focus on one. Because while you might focus on anti-racist practices, which is great, what about the trans individuals in your classroom? Or what about the kids who are low socioeconomic status, who don't have internet, don't have devices at home, etc.? Or what about the kids who don't speak English as their first language, or don't speak it at all yet? Like, these are all forms of inequality that need to be addressed, and these components can assist with that. So my larger point being, I love this framework. I just give the caution of, make sure you're looking at this broadly, like through a kaleidoscope, rather than through a microscope where you focus on just one thing. Because there are many forms of marginalization and intersecting forms of marginalization and privilege that might be occurring within your particular classroom that you're working on.
This excerpt of the CSK8 podcast is from episode number 91, which is titled Culturally Responsive Sustaining Computer Science Education, a Framework.